our stakeholders is MyD. And MyD had a totally different approach, a totally different policy. And so it came up that we had companies with different policies, and we just tried to find ways how we then can create a policy which can be implemented globally, so that we have one KUKA, which also was a big slogan at KUKA, to have one KUKA, one policy, and then assign people globally based on this. And then this was initiated in the beginning, and we then finally came up to have 3 different assignment types. And the first one is a strategic assignment. Then we had the project-driven assignments, and also the talent assignment, which is totally new at KUKA. We never had assignments for talents before, but we figured out that we had a lot of self-initiated assignments from expats, especially the younger ones, and we saw that this is necessary to also have an assignment for younger people, and which are young talents in the company. So the strategic assignment is an assignment normally applicable for senior management, executives, but also CEOs and CFOs. And the assignment period normally is around 2 to 3 years, but it can go up to 5 years. That under a we had a lot of self-initiated assignments from expats, especially the younger one, which is not an executive, who is not an executive. This is necessary, but to also have an assignment for younger people and reason. We have to stress out that the strategic assignment is not an assignment which means for development reasons. Of course, people develop somehow when they go abroad, but this is not the purpose of the assignment. The focus more is on the strategic part. What we need to define in such cases is what we need to calculate are the costs of the assignment, and to have a clear commitment of who is going to bear such costs. If the costs exceeds the 300,000, then we need to get an extra approval of the CEO and CFO. This is also new at KUKA, because we didn't do this in the past. But since we also have to keep an eye on the cost, this was then also integrated into the policy. Normally the benefits are quite similar as the former long-term policy, and in such cases experts are accompanied by their families. What is new at KUKA is that we have a target for the expat, which is obligatory. So the task of an expat in such case is also to identify and train a local successor. Right from the beginning, when they're there, when they're doing their strategic job, to also keep an eye to find a successor, because this was not being done in the past. How does the package look like? As I said, it's quite similar to the long-term assignment. In such case, the contract with the employment contract with the home company remains dormant. The expat receives an assignment contract, he gets a return guarantee, and the compensation is based on the home country approach. Only the bonus is based on a host country approach. The years of services are credited. They receive full shipment and full support for the expat and the family as well, and they also are entitled to have air freight. They receive a relocation allowance as a one-off payment at the beginning of the assignment, in the first month of the assignment. We also define a budget for the accommodation. If the kids need to go to an international school, we also cover the costs for the international school if this is necessary. They are entitled to have home trips and home leave, and they have normally a 1 round trip per 12 months. We also provide destination and immigration service, tax support. The employees are tax equalized, and we of course try to keep the employee in the home country's social security scheme. So as you see, it's quite similar as the long-term policy. We didn't change that much. This is different with the project assignees and the project assignment. Also, the project assignment takes place because there is a specific business need, and we need to fulfill. We have a project, and we need a specific know-how from someone from the business to support the project. The main focus is not on developing employees. Also, in this case, we need to calculate the assignment costs and to clarify in advance who is bearing which kind of costs. The duration differs. It can be 2 years, sometimes it's also a bit longer, but we said the maximum also here in this case is 5 years. Because otherwise we have problems then to reintegrate the employee into the company. And as you know, assignments are very expensive, and we don't want to have assignees over years and years. So when they reach the 5 years, they have then to decide whether they want to get localized or return back to the company. The benefits, we will have a look at this in the next slide, differ a bit, and also the contractual setup depending on whether the project is in the interest of the home or the host company. In general, we say that project assignments and expats are not accompanied by their families and partners. And if we have some cases where employees want to accompany the expat, then we need to get an additional approval. So how does the package look like for project assignments? As I said, it depends a bit whether the project assignment is in the interest of the home company or the host company. So if this is in the interest of the home company, then the employment contract with the home company remains active, and the assignee gets in addition an assignment contract, including all the benefits. If the project is in the interest of the home company, then the employment contract with the home company remains dormant during the whole assignment period. The expat receives a fixed-term local employment contract with the host company, and of course they have a return guarantee with the home company. The compensation approach also differs. If the assignment is in the interest of the home company, we follow the home-based approach. If the assignment is in the interest of the host company, we follow the host-based compensation approach. In both cases, the years of services abroad are credited. Normally, we don't offer shipment. We just pay the air freight. However, if the assignment is in the interest of the host company and the expat wants to have a shipment, then it's up to the host company to decide whether they approve it or not. In both cases, we do not pay a relocation allowance. We define the accommodation budget for the expat only in cases where the project is in the interest of the host company, and if the family wants to accompany the expat, then it's up to the host company to give the approval for that. We do not pay international schools here. The expats are entitled to have a home leave. Normally it's around 1 round trip per 12 months if the expat is accompanied, and 2 round trips per 12 months if the expat is unaccompanied. We of course provide destination immigration service, tax support, and also here, if the assignment is in the interest of the home company, we follow the tax equalization, the tax equalization approach. And if the assignment is driven by the host company, then we follow the gross to net approach. In both cases, we will try to keep the employee and the home country's social security scheme, if this is possible. And now the third one, which is a talent assignment, the talent mobility policy.
Bayer?
This is, yeah, sorry?
Bayer, just a quick question from Claudia.
Yes.
Claudia, please go ahead. And you are on mute.
Sorry. Hello.
Hello. Hi, Claudia.
I'm working for CF Friedrichshafen and I'm located in Passau, and I have a quick question regarding accompanying the family in case of this project policy. So you mentioned that in general it's not allowed to be accompanied by the family, but are the employees willing to go abroad for 1 or 2 years if they are not allowed to bring their families?
Mm-hmm. Well, I have to say that the policy is quite new. We have implemented this policy with effect of August. And since then we have assignees, but luckily all of them are singles. So this issue never popped up. Okay. We just had 2 cases where we had to assign employees, where employees were assigned abroad, and the project was driven by the host company. And in such cases, both experts were accompanied by their families, and the host company gave the approval for relocating also the family with them. But actually, yes, this is true. This is the aim and the purpose. This is what KUKA wants normally, to the employees to accompany project, but the families to stay home, just because we had also a focus on the costs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And to be honest, also in the past, we didn't have that much families and expats with families who traveled abroad. Most of our expats are really single. So we do not expect that much discussions. But I can imagine that in other companies, if they would implement such a policy, this would lead to discussions, yeah.
Yeah, and I have another question. You mentioned that in case the interest of the project is in the home company, they remain or they continue to have an active home contract and
exactly.
And an additional assignment contract. And in this case, would the home company bear the cost of the assignments?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
But how do you deal with the risk of establishing permanent the risk of a permanent establishment?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Of course, with this? If this issue would pop up, if we would have a case like that, and if there would be a risk of a permanent establishment, we need then, of course, to take this into consideration and also to do budgeting before the assignment starts. We would then get in touch with the tax department, discuss about the issue, and see, is there really a risk? And if there is a risk, we would normally have to consider this in the calculation of the cost of the assignment. And then we need to decide, is the project that important to accept the risk and then pay for it? Yeah. Or is the project not that important, and then we will not do the assignment? But if the project is important, we would then create probably a permanent establishment and then pay the cost for that as well. And I have to say, KUKA is familiar with permanent establishment. So this is not a new topic at KUKA, because KUKA is very project driven. Normally, our employees working on construction site, they do all create permanent establishments.
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Claudia. There's one further question from Annika.
Hi, this is Annika from Heidelberg Materials. I have a question regarding the host-based compensation approach. So if the assignment is in the interest of the host company, you said that the compensation is basically based on host level compensation. Now I'm wondering, have you had experience with lower cost host countries, and what do you do in that case? So you have dormant home-based, and do the expats actually accept a lower package in the host country?
This is a good question, and we had this question, we discussed about that. Because you're right, when you have foreign countries with a lower salary level, it's difficult for the employee to accept a contract offer. And in such case, we would then look and see whether the host company can at least offer at the level of the home country salary level. If this is not possible, of course, they would then offer a lower salary. And we had one case right now with Malaysia, for example, and the employee received a lower salary, but in Malaysia, we have less deductions. And at the end, the net salary of the employee was a bit higher than the net salary in the home country, so it worked. Even though the salary level was lower, the net amount in the end was higher than in Germany. And there it would out. But I can imagine in future that we will have cases. We discussed that very well with China especially. And we said, of course, we have to look at each single case. And very probably what we will do is to offer at least the salary level at minimum, that salary level of the home company. Okay. So to get the people abroad. But of course, in the frame of the local employment contract. I can imagine this will not work out for everybody. But I think in some cases, if the projects are crucial, we will follow that approach.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions to this policy?
Not at the moment.
Okay, so thank you.
Danielle?
Yeah. Yes.
Sorry, hi, this is Jo Safford. I'm really sorry, I'm in the car, so I hope you can still hear me all right. Sorry for not raising my hand. Health and safety.
Yeah.
So Jo Safford with BVE GmbH via super interesting so far. I do have a quick question just because you mentioned the tax EQ a couple of times. I discussed this a couple of days ago with Mira. A question to you. I have heard some noise regarding the tax EQ, that there is a bit of discussion in Germany that the tax EQ as it is done with the hypertax is actually not technically legal. Have you heard anything regarding that? Apparently there was this has also been disputed in court. Have you heard anything on that side, on that front?
No, I have no other information that this is illegal. No, I'm sorry.
Maybe question to the audience. Is there anyone who has heard same rumors? I mean, and we don't need to answer right now. So if you have any thoughts, just put it in the chat, and then we can refer it back to you, if that's okay for you. Sorry, because I just didn't get your name. Can you repeat your name, please?
It's Johanna Sassad with
Johanna. Okay. Yes. Yes. Okay. Cool. Thank you, Johanna.
Thank you.
Telephone joker. Okay. So, Maya, back to you.
Okay. Go ahead. So the talent policy. But this is, as I said, a new policy at KUKA, and it refers to more younger talents. Normally, these are employees who have around 1 or 2 years professional experience. They have normally a bachelor and master degree. And what is important for us is to also receive positive feedback from the business unit about this person who is applying for that assignment. We have candidates who apply by themselves, or what we have at the moment right now at KUKA is a big talent assignment program, an exchange between also China and Germany. And we therefore select employees for such an assignment to also develop the employees. So the focus is here also to develop employees. It's not project driven. This has nothing to do with a strategic assignment. It's really to develop people and to bring people together, to get to know each other, and then to also develop these employees in the company and to retain young talents in the company. In the beginning, we also have to calculate the cost, to do the budgeting as well, and then to see who's bearing that kind of costs. I can tell you from my experience that we have right now with this talent assignment program at KUKA, because there are around 30 employees, or 30 employees planned for this international assignments for next year as a talent assignment. And there was a discussion who is going to bear which part of the costs. Because on the one hand, we have, for example, the staff here in Germany, and we can use the manpower here. But on the other side, those employees are not that experienced, so they get trained in Augsburg, and then they get back to China and use their know-how in the favor of their home companies. And we decided then to split here the costs. So 50% of the costs are borne in KUKA and the home company, and 50% of the costs are borne by the host company. Such an assignment normally has a duration of 1 to 2 years. These employees are not accompanied by families, well, we also, I will show you later on the contractual setup as well, but locally and normally we follow a local plus approach. This means that we offer the employees a fixed term local employment contract, of course on the local market salary level. And in addition, they get additional allowances and benefits. If it's possible, we try to keep the employment contract with the home company dormant, and we also try to keep the employee in the home country's social security scheme, because it wouldn't make sense to pay social security contributions in the host country. If we can avoid it, we would do that. And what we think is mandatory as a benefit is that they get tax support, because tax is also a very complicated topic, and because of compliance reasons, we said tax is a must. Then we offer support with regard to immigration, destination, and international health insurance. But there are also some benefits which are optional normally. So here you have an overview. What the policy is covering, which kind of benefits the policy is covered. So we said the expatriation period is around 2 to 3 years. In that case, the home country contract remains dormant. The employees receive a fixed term local employment contract. They have a return guarantee. The compensation is host-based. We follow the host-based compensation approach. The years of services are credited. We do not cover costs for shipment. We only reimburse costs for air freight up to a maximum of 16 kilograms. We do not pay relocation allowance. We offer accommodation, and we define a budget only for the expat. We do not pay schooling costs, even if the family wants to accompany the employee. The expat is entitled to a home leave, so he can fly back home. He has one round trip per 12 months expat period. We provide destination immigration service, tax support. In such case, we follow the gross to net approach. And as I said, we would try to keep the employee in the home country's social security scheme. So this sounds all very standardized and very, very nice and very clear. However, I have to say, we of course had some obstacles while implementing this policy. And the first that popped up was to define who fits into what category. Because we discovered that when the first assignments popped up, that the business unit was pushing the assignment into the category of a strategic assignment, because the benefits are more in the favor of the employee. And although the assignment was not a strategic assignment at all, so we had discussion at this point, but at KUKA, it was easy to explain at the end, after having a clear discussions with the business units, what fits into what category. And most, as I said, most of the assignments at KUKA are project-driven. Besides of this new assignment policy that we have, the talent assignment approach, where we have the focus now and we want to develop assignees. So we also have a lot of young talents that will be assigned and that wanted to be assigned abroad. They want to have that kind of international experience. What we also figure out when we had expats or employees who were on assignment in the past. So they compare the former package with a new policy now, and they did a kind of cherry picking. And this was a big obstacle, to be honest. And there we had a lot of discussions with employees. It was difficult to explain that we said goodbye to the old approach, and now we have a totally new approach now. So this leads to a lot of discussions. And as I said, the talent assignment, this was also, when we discussed about talents, we also had discussions between the business units and the host and home country, because none of them wanted to bear the biggest part of the costs. As I said, the host country pretended, well, we will invest our time to train someone who will return back. We don't have a benefit at all at the end. And the home company said, okay, but you have the manpower. You can use the manpower in the host company. And the employee is leaving for 2 years, and we have capacity shortage in the home company. But at the end, they both, after discussions, figure out that well, both companies at least have a benefit at the end. And therefore, we came up with a solution to have a cost split of 50% host and 50% home. What is also a point which leads to discussion is for the project assignment that sometimes we have expats with families. It's not the big part at KUKA because we have normally singles who want to be assigned, but sometimes, as I said in advance, we had 2 expats with families. And yeah, we had the discussions where the host company was willing to pay the cost for the family as well. The biggest discussion we had with the local plus approach when we discussed about salary, for example. So we had many discussions in the case of unfavorable host country regulations compared to the home country, which is not just the salary, but also leave days, vacation entitlement. And also points like salary payment in the event of illness. Not every country has such a regulation. There are countries who don't even have a period of notice in the contracts mentioned. And there we discussed such cases, and we then needed to check what does the local labor law says, and is there room for negotiation somehow. We had, for example, cases where we could increase the leave days so that the employees have the same leave days abroad as they have in the home country. So this was somehow negotiable, and also salary issues as well.
Maya,
yeah.
Just a quick hint. We are a bit over time. As we started a bit later, don't worry. Let's give it another 3 minutes, if that's okay.
Okay. But I will come very soon to the end. What I wanted to also mention is that we don't have a promotion guarantee just because someone is on assignment. But we said, at least for those people who are assigned, we should set up an individual development plan, especially for the talent assignees. And what does international development normally mean? Normally it means that you have an overcapacity in your department and you have the chance to develop an employee. reality shows that normally departments have staff shortage. So, and at KUKA, for example, it's not a requirement, and an international assignment is not a requirement to get a career advancement. However, for example, for the stakeholder idea, it is mandatory to have that kind of career plan. So how do we do this normally with our employees? We have an individual development plan at KUKA. So the question is, what is the aim? How do we do this? What kind of tools do we use, and why do we do this? So the aim is, first of all, to clarify long and short-term career goals of the employee, and to best to use the employee's skill and potentials as best as possible. How do we do it? So normally we have an agreement between the employee and the supervisor, which is initiated by one of the parties, and they are responsible to also update this contract and the goals. The participation is voluntary, and it can be also terminated without having any disadvantages. But also, if you do that kind of plan with your supervisor, you even don't have a guarantee to get a higher position. But what you have is a chance to be taken into consideration in case of an open higher position. The tools that we use probably are familiar to you as well. We have training on the job, training off the job, and training near the job, which can differ from case to case. We have plenty of instruments but what we can use. And why do we do this? We, first of all, just want to define the career goals and the expectations, especially the expectation of an employee, to also raise the productivity, and also to use efficient the time and the resources in the company. We want to coordinate the future development of the employee and the training, and to also raise opportunities to finish projects, especially very challenging projects at KUKA. So this brings me to the end of my presentation. I don't know if you have any further questions. Please feel free.
Thank you, Vaya. There are no questions in the chat right now. Still, I would like to offer the chance just to raise them. Maybe we can also discuss them in the next session. Of course, you know, we have this cancellation short notice.
Yeah.
So if Vaya, if that's okay for you, maybe you could join the session where Air Inc. and
yes,
so
of course.
Maybe questions can be addressed to you as well.
Thank you.
So, but in any event, so no one should be shy. Just post your questions, and we can then address them. So thank you very much, Vaya, for your insightful presentation. Very detailed, so quite a comprehensive program. A lot of communication necessary, I assume. So let's hope all your people will be happy, and and you achieve your goals. So thank you very much. Yeah, in terms of next steps, we actually would have now a break of 15 minutes and then the presentation by Borja. But as he cannot attend today, we have decided to create this breakout session, and Air Inc. and Server BGRS representatives have kindly agreed to be there. So if you had any questions from previous modules and presentations in regards to data relocation policies, feel free to jump into the breakout session. Christina, she has just shared the link here in the chat, and she had also sent an email invitation for your calendar. So you feel free to take your break and get your coffee, or you can, or in addition, you can join this breakout session. I will also be there in a couple of minutes. And then after this session, which is kind of filling a gap. We will meet back again here at 12:15, so 12:15, where we will have the panel discussion, which will then also conclude the 4 days of Global Mobility Annual Conference hosted by DGFB. So thank you again, Vaya, for your input, and see you in the breakout session, or see you at 12:15 for the panel.
Bye.
So Ashley and Chris, I will make you in the spotlight, not to make you nervous. Is Mira already there? Mira,
She's just
yeah,
in the lobby.
she is.
Morning, Mira.
I'm just
Spotlight.
trying the connection to make
Hi,
sure.
Mira.
Yes.
Hi, Ashley.
So.
Hi, Chris.
How are we doing, Mira? Okay?
Yeah, not too bad. You?
Very good. Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
So the communication rules are like in the main room, so everybody is extendedly muted at the moment. And I would say it's really an open discussion, an open Q&A session. So please raise your hand when you've got any questions to Ashley, Chris, or Mira. She has joined the conference digitally, and Mira has had 2 parts, one in the present event and one here in the digital. So, are there any questions to server BGRS or AirInc?
Don't be shy. You can ask us anything. We're happy for you to ask us anything. So feel free. We're happy to address anything you may be interested in.
It doesn't have to be about the company. It could be about like
Anything.
what we're seeing with our clients or general trends, like literally